traded to the Eagles. Trade, of course, becomes official on the new league year, March 14th. A lot of teams vying for Bennett's services. How did he end up in Philadelphia?
There were several teams, and it was a pretty hot and heavy 3 days for the Seahawks, who have known they wanted to try to trade him and actually got a little bit of hotter market than they anticipated. It was the Philadelphia Eagles who did end up with him for a fifth-round pick and Marcus Johnson. They also get a seventh with Bennett. The Atlanta Falcons offered a late-round pick as well, and this deal was supposed to be done yesterday morning. And then, Dan, the New England Patriots came in and tried to make an offer, even though the two sides had basically agreed. But what they did, instead of taking the Patriots offer, was just hit pause, take a breath, consider all things. The Eagles did a lot of research into the kind of person that Michael Bennett was. In the end, they decided to make the trade and beef up their defensive line. And now, of course, they will look to trade Vinny Curry, who has a huge cap number. If they won't, they'll just release him.
So hold on. They had agreed with the Patriots, essentially, verbally, to make this trade?
No, the Eagles had agreed with the Seahawks, essentially, and then the Patriots came in with a big offer, and then all sides had to hit pause.
Gotcha.
And in the end, the Seahawks stuck with the original offer.
Okay, Michael Bennett, 33 years old, by the way, but 8.5 sacks last year in Seattle. Now they have a big hole to fill in terms of finding a pass rusher. Ian, back with you in just a moment. Lindsay?
Yeah, they've got a big hole while the Eagles get yet another weapon for their D-line, one with solid Photoshop skills and apparently a strong love of emojis. Michael Bennett, a tweet not long after today's news broke, a shot of him in an Eagles uni, and as LT pointed out, a very Philadelphia shout-out. He looks good in green. What will they look like with him on their front?
They're going to look really good. I mean, the rich get richer. How often do you see a Super Bowl team able to pretty much keep their guys intact? We haven't heard a whole lot of buzz about people leaving. And then you add someone like Michael Bennett to one of the top defensive lines in this league. I mean, Fletcher Cox now has another guy he can get to the passer with Brandon Graham. I mean, Jernigan will be back. Chris Long reportedly coming back for another year. I mean, they're loaded. Now, listen, you need 7, 8 guys, 9 guys sometimes that you can rush after the quarterback throughout the course of a game. We saw in the Super Bowl, one defensive play was made in 150 plays, and it ended up being a guy that was in the fourth quarter fresh enough to make a play and rushing the quarterback. So Michael Bennett, I think, is huge for this football team. He's a very progressive thinker, outside the box kind of guy. I think he's going to work very well in that Philadelphia market. They're going to love him. People in Philadelphia are going to love him. The team's going to love him.
And this means Vinny Curry has to find another team? Just straight up, like, that's whose spot he takes?
Well, there's only so much money to go around in so many spots, and I think Vinny Curry might be that guy, kind of be the odd man out that they end up releasing him if they can't find someone to trade him to.
And the good thing is Michael can move along that defensive line, so it's not like you got to pigeonhole him to a certain position. Man, he's so versatile. You can put him at defensive end, you can put him at 3-tech, and so this is, like you said, rich getting richer.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, the things he can do on the edge and playing inside, not even the biggest guy in the world, but I mean, he plays inside a 3 technique. He can play in the shade. I mean, very mobile inside. He's got these smaller shoulder pads in the NFL, just food for thought, just so you know. People can look out for that next year. But, I mean, Philadelphia really, really wanted this deal.
Feels like a good locker room for him to go to, too.
For sure.
We reached out to Michael Robinson, our colleague, who has been Bennett's colleague in the past. He says that he talked to Bennett today. He seems to be in a good place about all of this. The same cannot be said for the teammates of today's other big name that is on the move, Dan.
Yeah, that, of course, Rams linebacker Alec Ogletree, who was traded to the Giants. Ian, how did this go down?
This has actually been something that's been going on for the last several weeks. This wasn't the first time that Alec Ogletree, Dan, was talked about in a trade.